Hello, I'm Mayor Jim Daley from Homer Glen. I'm here to report, as I did last year, that I know the state of the village of Homer Glen is exceptionally strong. Today I'm glad to have this opportunity to share some examples of that fact. First, I'd like to recognize and thank Village Clerk Gail Skaboten and Village Trustees Marcia DeVivo, Ted K. Janis, Margaret Sabo, George Yukich, Mike Costa, and Mary Nemec. Also, I'd like to thank my wife, Denise, and all the spouses and families of our dedicated public servants here in Homer Glen. In addition, I'd like to thank the village manager, Cameron Davis, and the managers of the village staff, or I should say the members of the village staff. I want to express my appreciation to each of you for your continued hard work on behalf of the residents of Homer Glen. First, the village of Homer Glen has, for the 11th year in a row, received notice that we are again the recipient of a Certificate of Achievement for Excellent in Financial Reporting. The Certificate of Achievement Award is the highest form of recognition a municipality can receive in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting. This 11th award is an exceptionally important sign of the village's commitment to financial integrity. In the current economic climate, with the federal and state governments struggling financially and eliminating programs and services, the village of Homer Glen is not increasing your taxes, nor is it decreasing your services. As a matter of fact, in 2012, the village added programs. Homer Glen remains one of only a few Illinois municipalities that does not levy a municipal property tax. In addition, unlike surrounding Will and Cook County municipalities, the village of Homer Glen has no electric utility tax, no telecommunications tax, and no gas tax. How then, when many of our neighboring communities are using all of these taxes but are still having a difficult time financially, how is Homer Glen holding the line on municipal taxation and still able to pay our bills? The short answer to the question, one that I've given again and again, is that the village of Homer Glen is a very frugal organization. In addition, Homer Glen pays most of its general fund bills with receipts from our 1% sales tax. This current fiscal year, the village's balanced general fund budget is $10.2 million. 57% of that budgeted general fund revenue was budgeted as being generated by sales tax. The chart next to me displays this fact. This year, as was the case last year, I'm reporting that sales tax receipts in the village of Homer Glen are exceptionally strong. Our residents, along with residents from neighboring communities, are shopping in Homer Glen. So far this fiscal year, projected sales tax receipts are up approximately 7% over last year's totals. We are estimating that fiscal year 2012-13 will be the best year ever for sales tax receipts in the village of Homer Glen. We will have exceeded $6 million in sales tax receipts. This is outstanding news and a sign that the economic health of the community is strong. As you can see from the graph on the screen, since I became mayor, our sales tax numbers continue to increase. It's clear there are significant sales occurring in Homer Glen. The opening of the new Meijer store in 2014, which I will discuss in a moment, will only help to continue this wonderful trend. This sales tax growth, when many of our sister communities in Illinois have seen decreases over the last few years, it is an outstanding sign of health and prosperity in the village of Homer Glen. Every business owner and manager in the community that has helped contribute to this positive sales tax growth should be congratulated. At Village Hall, we continue to do everything possible to help sales and sales tax receipts grow in Homer Glen so that our community's financial future can remain solid as a rock. Briefly, the village currently has $33.4 million in the bank. The general fund currently has $6.8 million. The capital project fund has $23 million, with the motor fuel tax fund, land acquisition fund, and park fund together having $3.6 million in the bank. The village is in an outstanding fiscal shape with healthy reserves and resources available for upcoming and future important community capital improvements. Yet further, the village's upcoming fiscal year 2013-14 General Operation Fund will be balanced with no new taxes, outstanding services, and both significant park improvements and stormwater improvements. As I move on to the second reason why the state of the village of Homer Glen is so strong, let's take a moment to celebrate and recognize some of the wonderful businesses opening that occurred in Homer Glen this past year since my last State of the Village address. Welcome to the owners of both L.E. Barker Photography and Adore Photography, sharing a space at 12544 West 159th Street. The photo shows us a cutting a ribbon on their grand opening day. I want to thank Beth, owner of Adore Photography, and Lori, owner of L. Baker Photography. First Community Bank opened in 2012, and we welcome the bank and their beautiful building to the Homer Glen business community. ATI Physical Therapy also joined the business community this past year, and we welcome this national chain to Homer Glen. Bill Malley opened up Malley Salon in 2012. The business is located at 14322 South Golden Oak Drive. Here we are at a ribbon cutting. We welcome Malley Salon to our community. Old Oak Florist in the Homer Town Square Shopping Center by Dominic's has new owners in Troy and Christy Schultz. The photo shows us inside their beautiful store. I'd like to thank the Schultz for their investment to our community. Also opening up in the Homer Town Square this past year is the 1,800 square foot Pure Salon and Spa. We welcome co-owners Casey Skinner and Julie Petty. Speedway opened up a totally rebuilt and expanded station on 159th Street this past year. The redevelopment station consists of 3,900 square foot convenience store and 8 fueling islands. The grand opening photo is shown on the screen. We appreciate Speedway's continued investment in Homer Glen. Goldmax Cash for Gold also opened up in Homer Town Square in 2012. We also welcome this national chain to Homer Glen. As you can see, there are many businesses that have decided to invest in the Homer Glen community since my last State of the Village address. There's even more. Pro Kitchens opened up at 14209 South Bell Road. We appreciated that owner Joe chose to locate his new business in our community. Just recently, I enjoyed helping our owner Barbara Tomzak cut the ribbon and open up her relocated business, All About Me, at 12101 West 159th Street in the Will Cook Plaza Shopping Center. Barbara relocated her wonderful business from Orland Park to Homer Glen. Thank you, Barbara, for your investment in Homer Glen. We celebrated the relocation and opening of the new Rehab Connection business to 14901 South Founders Crossing over by the Village Hall. Owner Sherry has opened a fantastic new facility in this location. Here I am at the new Something Sweet Cupcake Boutique with Rose Reiners. The boutique is located at 14045 South Bell Road, next to Rose's Taza Restaurant. Here's a photo of the interior of this charming boutique. Dr. Joel invited us over to celebrate the grand reopening of Artistic Dentistry at 14403 South Bell Road. We welcome the doctor to our community. The Dance Studio Limited opened up their great new space in the Bell Tower Plaza at 15760 South Bell Road. I wanted to thank Marianne Kyler for her over 20-year plus commitment to Homer Glen. It's outstanding to see new businesses open, and eventually is wonderful to see long-standing existing Homer Glen businesses like the Dance Studio thrive, expand, and prosper. Finally, I'd like to recognize the opening of our latest national retail chain store, and that's Sherwin-Williams. They're located in the Blueberry Hill Cafe Shopping Center at 14347 South Bell Road. We certainly appreciate Sherwin-Williams investing in the Homer Glen community. That's a lot of new and expanding businesses. Homer Glen is clearly a great place for businesses to open and thrive. Third, in an effort to continue our excellent success, the village has brought about a major new commitment to economic development in Homer Glen with the hiring of our first Economic Development Director, Janie Patch. Director Patch has over 17 years of experience in the field of municipal economic development. We stole her away from the village of Glen Ellen, where she served as the Executive Director of Glen Ellen Development Corporation. Director Patch is shown here on the screen. Director Patch spends 100% of her time on economic development. As an example, recently, Director Patch spent a day at a regional event sponsored by the International Council of Shopping Centers. The goal of this organization is to help members develop their businesses in communities through networking, education, research, information, deal-making, etc. Janie has been an ICSC member for over 15 years. As a representative of the Village of Homer Glen, Janie's goal at this time and other events is to enhance Homer Glen's visibility within the commercial real estate industry for opportunities to attract new businesses, as well as network with brokers, developers, retailers, and other economic development professionals for the benefit of Homer Glen. The one-day event she recently attended had over 1,000 attendees. Janie spent her time working to promote Homer Glen, to assist us in securing the next great round of new business openings. Thank you, Janie, and thank you to the Village Board for supporting my vision of a full-time economic development director for the Village of Homer Glen. As I move on to the fourth reason why the state of the Village of Homer Glen is so strong, let me share with you a few additional examples of why I know the state of the village is moving in the right direction. Exciting new economic development is both happening and being planned to occur in the Village of Homer Glen. A new restaurant will be opening this spring, 13957 South Bell Road, just south of First Community Bank. Le Crêpe Bistro is currently building out the new restaurant space. The village has been assisting this new business for several months now. The village is constantly working on bringing additional restaurant opportunities to the Homer Glen area. In addition to La Crêpe Bistro, staff is working hard on other potential restaurant possibilities. We hope to have news on them shortly. More great news. The village is also working hard to assist the owner of our long-standing McDonald's restaurant on Bell Road. I'm happy to report that the McDonald's will be reaffirming its outstanding commitment to Homer Glen by facilitating a complete store interior and exterior renovation. The important renovation will double the existing drive-through and as mentioned, update the restaurant's interior and facade. The village is working with the restaurant owners right now with a targeted construction start date of this summer. The restaurant will remain open during the renovations. As I mentioned earlier, while it's always outstanding to see new businesses open, it's equally as wonderful to see long-standing, existing Homer Glen businesses like McDonald's thrive, expand, and prosper. The village has spent much of 2012 and 2013 working diligently with the Myers organization. What you see on the screen today is a site plan for the Homer Glen's Myers store, located south of the existing Home Depot in the Goodings Grove Shopping Center. This new store will not only be the largest retail store in Homer Glen, it will be the largest Myers store in the south suburbs. The store will be a total of approximately 200,000 square feet and will include a packaged liquor store, bakery, grocery, electronics, clothes, household goods, garden center, and both an in-store and drive-through pharmacy. In addition, the development will include an important standalone gas station located next to Wendy's restaurant. The village has spent a considerable amount of time working on the Meyer development project, and we are thrilled to have this nationally recognized retail organization invest in our increasingly popular Bell Road commercial corridor. I can tell you that the Myers announcement has definitely sparked interest in other available Bell Road properties, and I'm very optimistic about the future of this commercial corridor. As I move on to the fifth reason why the state of the village of Homer Glen is so strong, I want to highlight three important community development projects I spoke to you about last year when I gave this address. Most of you are familiar with the beautiful new library addition going up on 151st Street. The village recently adopted a new intergovernmental policy that allowed us to partner with the library district and return to them 50% of the cost of their building permit. I offer my continued congratulations to the district on their important community development project. Last year, I reported on the important new 39,000 square foot addition to the Victoria Village campus. Here you see the recent groundbreaking for this community development project. Providing senior housing opportunities to the residents of Homer Glen is absolutely vital. This project is currently under development, and as you drive by the property on 143rd Street, you will see construction crews busy at work. I want to again thank the Victorian Village organization for this significant investment in the Homer Glen community. Finally, I would like to report on the Greek Orthodox Church development. This new almost 10,000 square foot church will be located at 14259 West 143rd Street. Currently, the church is before the Will County Board seeking their necessary approvals for the church's entry off of 143rd. We look forward to the addition and the church to be an asset to our great community. I do want to report that just this week, the village board approved the Greek Orthodox Church temporary use of the long vacant building at 15625 South Bell Road. The church will move from Orland Park to this Homer Glen location, make improvements to this building, and then use this building for services until their beautiful new church is completed. I believe that villages like Homer Glen, ones that are adding churches, expanding libraries, putting up new businesses, and expanding existing care facilities are clearly strong communities that are moving in the right direction. Even in this challenging economy, with scarce capital available, businesses and organizations are investing in the future of Homer Glen. Switching gears a bit, the next example of why the state of the village is strong is the fact that Homer Glen continues to be recognized as a leader and a steward in areas related to environmental protection. From environmental programming like the Earth Day Arbor Day event to lighting protections, from electronic recycling and paper shredding events to best development practices, the village of Homer Glen is recognized in the Chicagoland area as a community that lives up to its motto of community and nature in harmony. For those of you who are not aware, I would like to encourage you to participate in the village's upcoming electronic recycling and paper shredding drop-off program on Saturday, March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The free event will be held in the Homer Junior High parking lot. This is a relatively new program for the village. We held our first such event in 2012. Now, the March 23rd event will be our second. It was very popular for our residents. For those who haven't participated, at the 2012 event, the village collected and shredded 44,000 pounds of paper and collected and recycled almost 16 tons of electronic devices, keeping both paper and electronics out of landfills. This new program is yet another example of Homer Glen's commitment to the environmental protection. Still further, the seventh example of why the state of the village is strong is the fact that the village of Homer Glen has completed and is planning to complete so many major public infrastructure improvement projects the village is investing in our community. 1, 2, 3, you want to start that over?
Sure.
Still further, the seventh example of why the state of the village is strong is the fact that the Village of Homer Glen has completed and is planning to complete so many major public infrastructure improvement projects. The village is investing in our community. The first example of this investment is a project that the village is doing with the Homer Highway Department under the leadership of Commissioner Mike DeVivo. Mike, this gives me the opportunity to thank you and your staff at the Highway Department for your partnership and for all the great work you're doing in the Village of Homer Glen. Thank you. The village and the Highway Department have obtained a $1 million CMAQ grant to improve the intersection at 151st and Parker. This project will be advertised for bids later this year with construction in 2014. This will be a major infrastructure improvement at the intersection that is in much need of attention. In addition to being a great example of intergovernmental cooperation, this is a perfect example of how we are working together to improve safety of our village roadways and intersections. On another front, this spring the village will begin our largest stormwater improvement project to date. The village has identified several stormwater improvement needs in the Village of Homer Glen and intends to invest a significant amount of money to improve long-standing flooding problems. The village will be completely rebuilding the large stormwater detention in the area of Oak Valley subdivision. The area of improvement is shown in the yellow on the screen. While the village has completed numerous small yet important stormwater improvements over the past few years, this Oak Valley project will be the largest improvement to this date. After this project is completed, you can expect many more to come. The Village of Homer Glen is committed to correcting long-standing stormwater flooding problems that have plagued this area for a long, long time. On the park and recreation front, I'm excited to announce that bids are out for the construction of the village's new Erin Hills Park in the Erin Hills subdivision. The village secured additional land for this park since my last State of the Village talk to you. You can see plans for this park on the screen, and I've brought a copy of the larger plans for anyone who would like to see them after my talk. In addition to this park, the village has applied for an OSLED grant to obtain funding to complete the Goodings Grove Park. The plans for that new park can be seen on the screen. Finally, by now, many of you have had the opportunity to enjoy the village's new Heroes Trail system as shown on the screen. I'm happy to report that final engineering is being completed for the south extension of the Heroes Trail shown on the screen in blue. The trail will be constructed in 2015. Also, the village has applied for a new grant to continue the important Heroes Trail expansion. The grant application calls for a trail, shown on the screen in yellow, to be built connecting the existing trail to Goodings Grove School. The village organization is committed to seeing our Village Heroes Trail grow and expand because we know the community appreciates and supports this important recreational amenity. Next, the eighth reason why I think the state of the village is strong in the word and deed known as transparency. A village can only be exceptionally strong if the residents it serves feels that it is being transparent. I'm happy to report that the state of the village continues to include our important transparency initiative. The village continues to build upon our website's transparency initiative. You can link to the village's transparency page from the front page of the village's website at www.homerglenil.org. Look for the word transparency. The transparency site is being shown on the screen. The Village of Homer Glen believes in transparency. We believe that governments, elected officials, and village staff are all accountable to the citizens and taxpayers of Homer Glen. We have put this transparency page together and continue to add to it. in order to create one simple, easy location for residents to access important village information. We are adding items to the transparency page all the time. If you go to the transparency page, you will find important financial documents, contracts, meeting schedules, staff salary, and benefit information, village board standing operation procedures, our organizational chart, and more. Transparency is, I believe, a sign of strength, and as I repeatedly said today, the state of the Homer Glen Village is strong. In addition to all the information I've shared with you today, the ninth reason why I believe the state of the village is so strong includes our ongoing efforts pursuing or completing a multitude of projects, a few of which I will highlight now. Improvements to 159th Street from I-355 to Will Cook Road. I'm 100% in support of IDOT's improvements, as I know the new roadway will assist the village, that will provide jobs, shopping opportunities, and financial resources to ensure that the village of Homer Glen remains free of a municipal property tax. The village has hired the respected planning firm Hassel Levine Associates to assist us in the completion of a responsive, creative, and effective 159th Street corridor study. The village has begun this study that includes public participation. This study will be forward-thinking, creating a plan to position the 159th Street corridor for the success in terms of economic viability, character, sense of place, image, and identity. By the way, you can keep updated on the progress of this plan by utilizing the project's website at www.homerglenil.com. A big thank you to the residents of Homer Glen who responded favorably by 75% in voting to retain the village's home rule status. Over 7,800 residents voted to retain home rule status. That is simply outstanding. The grant, in the area of environmental protection, I have great news. It has just been announced that the village is the recipient of a $20,000 grant to complete a community-wide public property tree inventory in Homer Glen. The grant is designed to protect and manage tree resources that are threatened or impacted by the emerald ash borer. I'm 100% supportive of doing what can be done to protect our public tree stock here in Homer Glen. Completion of the water and sanitary sewer lines in the village's westernmost boundary, Gower Road. A sewer and water extension to the currently unincorporated areas of Homer Glen, including all of the commercial properties on 159th Street. This area includes solidifying annexation agreements with property owners in the area. Even Hazel Levine and Associates, the planning firm the village is working with on 159th Street, has indicated the importance of getting water and sewer service to the western portion of the village in order to ensure future economic development opportunities for Homer Glen. Continue our efforts to ensure a very safe village of Homer Glen. With our contracted Will County Sheriff's Department partners, I'm happy to report yet another safe year in Homer Glen. As you can see on the screen and on our website at www.homerglenil.org, the village has had across-the-board reductions in crime statistics in the past year. As I often say to new residents, welcome to Homer Glen, one of the safest towns in Illinois. I'd like to recognize Lieutenant Mark Fish and his team in the Homer Glen's Sheriff's Office who work every day to keep us safe. Continue to offer important economic development non-conforming sign replacement loan program and the business facade improvement loan program. Both of these zero loan programs were established by the village since my last State of the Village talk. These programs are easy to apply for and use, and I am a strong advocate for keeping them in place for the benefit of Homer Glen businesses. The village has completed a review of all of our challenged residential subdivisions. All approved prior to my term as mayor, they do not have letter of credits in place to complete unfinished streets, lighting, sidewalks, etc. I am a proponent of getting as many of the life safety improvements done in these subdivisions as possible. I believe that the village needs to ensure that these subdivisions and the residents who live in them get completed public improvements. In terms of protecting everybody's important property values in Homer Glen, this is a vital issue for the entire community. Finally, intergovernmental cooperation is a good one to end on, as it's the 10th reason that the state of the Village of Homer Glen is so strong. The Village of Homer Glen is absolutely committed to work with our intergovernmental partners in order to achieve success for our residents. In addition to the library example I mentioned earlier, I'd like to highlight 2 more examples of the village's outstanding intergovernmental cooperation. First, everyone here knows my long-standing position on water and sewer rates and service delivery here in Homer Glen. I believe that our rates are way too high, and a significant majority of the village agrees with me on this point. The money we pay to American Lake Water and Illinois American Water is totally outrageous. The Village of Homer Glen has partnered with the Village of Bolingbrook, the Village of Woodridge, the Village of Romeoville, and the Village of Lamont to form an intergovernmental agency called the Northern Will County Water Agency. Homer Glen, together with our intergovernmental partners, is moving forward with purpose. Our first intention is to secure the ability to provide water service to our residents at a reasonable cost. Since my last State of the Village, the Northern Will County Water Agency has filed an eminent domain lawsuit to purchase and take over the water transmission line that brings water from Bedford Park to our 5 communities. The Village Board and I are supportive of this important intergovernmental effort. In my opinion, this purchase will be completed. A second wonderful example of intergovernmental cooperation that occurred since my last report to you is the completion of an important dragonfly biodiversity grant project that occurred on a portion of Long Run Creek. As you can see by the before and after photos that are on the screen, the results of our efforts were dramatic. The Dragonfly Biodiversity Grant has helped the village to achieve a long-standing goal of providing an environmentally friendly example for residents to use regarding how creek banks can be stabilized on their own properties. This particular project occurred with the blessing of Homer Township. As you might be able to tell, this is a portion of Long Run Creek that runs through the township's Yangus Park property. As residents who live adjacent to the creeks know, stabilizing creek banks, ones that are near vertical, is very difficult because they are prone to erosion. So the grant allocated the village to cut back the existing creek banks at a maximum of 3-to-1. The creek banks were then seeded with a native prairie mix or have had plugs of native plants installed. We thank the township organization for allowing the village to complete this important project. In conclusion, I want to thank you for your attention today. Now, after hearing my talk, you know some of the many reasons why I know the state of the Village of Homer Glen is strong. We have a bright future here in Homer Glen, and I'm happy to work with each of you here today to make sure that the promises of that bright future is fully realized. Thank you again.